Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is your friend Ursie. And yes, today, day 3, I'm still up in the heavens looking at those stars. So today, a very special star constellation, Bootes, Bootes, Bootes Constellation. So I should step back just a little bit as my excitement to talk to you about constellations. I just wanted to let you know that today there's like 88 named constellations in our foreseeable heavens, right? There's the northern stars, the southern stars, the circumpolar stars, the ones that gravitate around either the North Pole or the South Pole. So the heavenly stars are amazing. I wanted to show you an actual copy of this box of stars by Catherine Tennant. And so she has, wouldn't you know it, another box of stars called the Lost Zodiac, 22 star signs from the ancients. And this one talks about the myths and legends. But let me see, I'm going to open up this box of stars. So, I was talking about Auriga, the constellation of the charioteer holding a little she-goat that suckled Zeus when he was an infant. Let me see. And also prior, I had talked a little bit about Aquila, the eagle, Jupiter's eagle, and he's surrounded by a dolphin and a person flying with arrows. Okay, hard to tell, male or female. All right, I'm going through these cards. I'm looking for today's card. We're going to be talking about Bootes. Oh, the first issue I did on the channel. Oh, and one of the first episodes on the playlist about star constellation, this is Andromeda. Okay, so you get these cool little cards, and there's actually poked holes. So you can bring your kids or grandchildren out into the heavens, or you can bring yourself and just start looking for which stars are in the night sky. There's different constellations, whether it's winter, summer, spring, or fall. So learning how the stars in the heavens shift with the seasons. And it's like, we are on this ecliptic path, the beautiful sun and earth. And if I hadn't said it before, the word zodiac comes from, believe it or not, the word zoo is in there. The ancients used to look up and call it the zodiac because it was like a parade of animals. Yes, there was Virgo, and there was Libra, which is the only non-animal, non-human entity, right? It's the scales, and actually used to be part of Virgo when she was Astrea, holding the balance of good and bad in the scales of justice. So, yeah, what about that? A parade of animals. So, if you're into astrology, you would probably already know that not too long ago, astrology and astronomy were put together as a science. All right. And this is where the word Urania's mirror comes from. It portends to this idea of the Greek myth of Urania, who's the goddess of astronomy, looking at the heavens. So the mirror basically reflecting as above in the heavens, so below in my natal chart or my cosmic portraiture. Okay. But today, dun dun dun, I pulled the card, and here's who we're talking about. You guys have probably all heard of, like, okay, are you an Arcturian starseed? I don't know. Are you? Am I? Anyway, it comes from this constellation Bootes. And I'll be showing you a picture. But you can see from this picture, you've got some hair flying around. that's Bernice's hair. And so she offered that as a sacrifice. So her hair was put up in the heavens. And then you can see Bootes has actually got two dogs called, let's see, Cane Venetacci. Hey, that's Italian, Cane Venetacci. So, and then there's a compass up there, and there's just the heavens are just filled with stories. And that's the thing. The stories do shift and change, so like let's just talk about even human design. That system came in like around 1987, around the harmonic convergence, and already people are talking about upgrading it to a quantum human design. So I'm wondering, there's probably this quantum constellation mythos and archetypes that better reflect our day and age. But I think it's always fun to go back and look, what was the origin star story to that constellation? So let me go ahead and see if I can bring up. And believe me, I'm just doing this impromptu. Thank you, Danny Shay, for inspiring me to just do these rambles, because I create these, slides, and I really enjoy offering readings when I have time that allows me to do that. But here we go. Bootes Constellation holds the beautiful star Arcturus. We know this star because it has so much around our own galactic heritage. So there's the star itself, and then there's the metaphor or the archetypal energy that that star story carries. All right. So let's see, what am I? So there's another star, a smaller star named Izar. I think I brought this up recently. If you look at the playlist on doing a reading for an anonymous person, um, Izar is in this Bootes constellation. And so this Bootes, the huntsman, is basically chasing after the bears. There's two bears. There's the Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. But there's an interesting story about Bootes, and maybe that's where I'll start before. Here, let me stop sharing for just a minute. So, once upon a time, and this is how I just love like Granny Goose. And then there's the whole Granny Goose of the constellations. So, I'm just inviting Granny Goose to sit with me, tell me a story. Well, a long, long time ago, there was a family. And the family had a patriarch. But when he died, um, the brothers could not decide, like, the inheritance. And so they said, hey, this guy Bootes, he doesn't deserve to be part of our clan anymore. This was the time of the hunters. And so when you're kicked out of a group, yeah, you perish. So this hunter had to find a new way to survive. And so this idea of being able to find a new path to survive, given your circumstances. So the whole constellation of Bootes, yeah, they call it the hunter of the bears, but there's another layer. It's this idea of being kicked out and ostracized by your brothers following the passing of the patriarch. Okay, so it's a guy thing in a certain way, right? So, yeah, instead of dying, he was the one that invented the plow. He invented, like, if I can get plants to grow, I can I can survive. And so today we don't need a plow, but obviously we do need people guiding us into that next level of where do we go from here, especially when things on the 3D level are looking like they're tumultuous, breaking down. Perfect time to have someone with a strong Arcturus or any of the other stars in the constellation of Bootes to guide us forward. What are our options, to survive as a species, as humanity, as a tribe? So, good things to consider. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my little share. So, in studying the mythology of the stars, the plow inventor, the herdsman, See, he still is carrying his spear, though. So there is that connection to, I came from hunting, but in his other hand, holding mm, the the leashes of the two dogs, the hunting dogs. And oh, and these are not Canis Major and Canis Minor. Those are Orion's dogs. So there's more dogs up in the heavens than just Orion's dogs. So these are Canis Venatici, is what I said. Let's see. Venatici, Canis Venatici, and the flying hair of Como Berenice. So, yeah, the heavens. Isn't that interesting? All these star stories. Now, the reason I get fascinated by them is because, on a base human level, these are the stories of our ancestors. This is the stories and the archetypes of the journey of the tarot, from the Fool going around the circle of experiences to end up with the World card. So, what does it mean when you study with Julia Balaz, if you decide to take one of her online classes, an Arcturian starseed from that lens of um, much more the galactic? It says if you have one of these soul connections, that mathematical, spirituality, and wisdom are part of the essence. So a baby is born with the sun conjunct Arcturus. Yeah, really look and see about their aptitudes around the mathematics. So they're very future oriented. This is because they have to look forward to understand, how do we survive? How do I survive myself and then my loved ones? There's typically an insatiable thirst for knowledge, sacred geometry again, numerology, and astrology. Well, that sounds like me. Anyway, Arcturus, let me use my pointer, is down here by the knee or thigh of the plow inventor, okay, of Bootes. So a pathfinder, guardian of the bear. So the bears will come later when we talk about the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, but we're still alphabetically only on B. B for boots or Bootes. All right. So for Izar, dark intuition. This is interesting how it's a rainbow colored star, and yet it's carrying the energetic of one who works with the shadow side of intuition. So, not just focusing and tuning into the light, but it's equal and opposite shadow. Interesting. We might find someone who has an Izar soul connection, again, let's say to their midheaven. That would be someone who might work with the shadow, might portend to being shamanistic rituals. So they may question authority, sometimes emotionally unavailable. Not always. It always depends on how is that star aspected with other planets. So this is basically a broad blueprint, but how it shows up energetically in your astrology really relies on where were the other planets. So some people, for example, might say, "Oh, I'm Virgo." Right, but you could be Virgo at the last degree or the beginning degree, still learning, like, well, what is it to be Virgo? So we have to really look more prismatically and metaphysically at the whole of, when we look at cosmic portraits. So if you're looking and you're an astrologer for where is Arcturus in the heavens, currently it's around 24 degrees of Libra, 45 minutes. All right, so what that means is Libra, it carries Libran energy right now. So the balance of male and female. Okay. So even though, like, I was kicked out of the patriarchy, Bootes, and left to nourish, I'm working with Mother Nature. All right. So the masculine working in divine union with Mother Nature or with the divine feminine principles. If you find that you have Izar as a star seed connection, soul connection, you can see that it's at 28 degrees of Libra, 6 minutes, getting towards the tail end of Libra, the balance. So when we see like the 24th degree of Libra for Arcturus or the 28th degree of Libra for Izar, Those are typically, because it's third decan, typically also a marker for spirituality. The first decan is usually around the body issues. Second decan is typically around the mind and mental processing, whereas the third decan, like 20 to 30 degrees of a sign, is typically more about spirituality. So wouldn't it be interesting to see if you have, let's say, Izar, a spiritual pathway to work with dark intuition? How do you help bring out the dark aspects of life and find a path through it? Again, I'm going to reflect that this is kind of like a tumultuous time in 2025. So here we go. We need our trailblazers. Show us other options. All right. Now I'm going to move to my little card deck book of Galactic Heritage cards by Lyssa Royal Holt. And this is what she has to say about Arcturus energy. One thing I would say is if you found a rocket ship and you actually flew over the star Arcturus, it's not like you're going to see people or beings. Okay. So she wants to really clearly underscore that this is about metaphysical energetics. And going back to our galactic heritage, we went from the founders, and then we talked about the Andromedans, okay, living in like a parallel universe. And then the third consciousness she brings up is Arcturus. So she writes, going back to the idea of fragmentation. So the source wanting to fragment, to expand and know itself even more so. You then have the founders and Andromedan consciousness represented. Now the pieces get smaller, the fragmented pieces. Now we move into another energy that is of significance to Earth. We call it Arcturus consciousness. Many people are asking, are you talking about the star Arcturus? And so the answer from this channel being Germaine says, we are not speaking of only the physical star. We are speaking of the higher energy that the star represents. If you did a meditation looking at the star, Arcturus, you could indeed tap into the energy of which we speak. But if you flew a spaceship over to Arcturus and looked for people, that is not what we're talking about. So, what does the star Arcturus offer us? It has a significant importance to Earth. And segue to Lee Carroll channeling Cryon. Cryon is a collective of the Arcturian energy. Fascinating, right? And what I understand is the Arcturians are that portal of light that kisses us at the moment of birth. So a lot of this astrology is working on what is your cosmic portraiture. So the beings that kiss you when you're born, and Cryon will say, here you are, dear soul. And then you move throughout your life. And when you're ready to pass to the next realm or you die, the Arcturian is that light that they say, go to the light. And that is typically the Arcturian family remembering and re-embracing you to come back home. Okay, so here's what Lyssa Royal Holt has channeled. This consciousness of Arcturus ultimately acts as the main spirit guides of Earth. Wow, the main spirit guides of Earth. If you go back into the ancient history of Earth, long before humans were here, the first beings who walked this planet were Arcturus beings that solidified their light bodies. Interesting. It almost feels, yes, pre-Lemurian, pre-Atlantean. Before all that was Arcturus beings coming to this planet Earth. They're a very high level of consciousness. Arcturus consciousness did the same thing on many other worlds as well. So it's not just about us human beings on Earth. They've done this with other beings. All right. By solidifying their light being or their light bodies into temporary physical bodies on a planet, they could begin to create a blueprint for the specific planet they were visiting. All right. Some people who get readings from practitioners with Julia Balaz, of which I'm a certified galactic astrologer. There are beings that they call blueprinters showing up again, right? There's certain markers. I'm a blueprinter. Are you? So, but we can point to what Lyssa is saying. The Arcturus consciousness created the blueprint for Earth. So by that, it's like, yeah, if you have a really strong soul connection to Arcturus and it shows up many times, or even look at the other stars of Bootes Constellation, I would say. Let's see, what else does she say? It is a blueprint of balance and of the integration of polarity. This means that no matter what happens on Earth, no matter what kind of darkness plays out here, and no matter what the challenge, the blueprint always remains about the integration of polarity. You will automatically always play out that blueprint and things will move to balance. It just may not look that way on the surface. So, yeah, and here goes Lyssa. She's saying the exact same thing that Cryan said. For the most part, humans experience the Arcturus energy during the two most important times of their lives, birth and death. Isn't it cool? So I have a very strong Virgo energy. So I'm always looking at data and I'm looking for common denominators and I'm looking for thematic, like what's the constant theme that shows up? Well, here we go. Arcturian star beings, really going back to the genesis of all creation here on Earth. Let's see. I'll read a little more. During life, humans who work with healing, such as those who do hands-on healing, are channeling this very high-level consciousness of Arcturus. Okay, we might call it Archangel Raphael energy, which is not to diminish the archangels or celestial realms. It's just what we call that energy evolves as we kind of mature. All right. So we could engage Archangel Raphael / Arcturian star family. If you're a hands-on healer, think of Barbara Brannan and the healing light. Think of Reiki. My hand is showing. So there's so many others who work with healing energy, but she is saying, or it's been channeled through in this booklet, that you really cannot escape the Arcturus energy. It is so integrated with the experience of being human. It represents your highest potential. That is why it is representative of the early fragmentations, because it is a group consciousness. So there you go. Prism of Lyra. Excellent book if you want to know a little bit more. So we can look elementary, my dear, at the star Arcturus, and we can look at it. There it is in the heavens. There it is in the star myth and stories. Here it is being talked about as galactic citizenry or galactic star ancestors. All right. And what Lyssa just wrote through the channeling of Germaine is we all have Arcturian energetics available to us. This idea of holding the blueprint, working towards integration. Izar, that other beautiful rainbow star in the constellation of Bootes, it's working with dark intuition. Well, there's an equal and opposite light intuition that it matches. So thank you, Bootes Constellation. So exciting to work with the heavenly realms. And I'm just going to put it out there. If you're kind of a researcher and you kind of want to know, oh, what's that one about with the flying hair? I might come back if I get to see for Coma Berenice, Berenice's hair flying around near Bootes Constellation. Well, everybody, that's all I got for this morning. Have a wonderful week ahead. Whatever is happening out in the 3D world of television, just know you can change your channel. You can call in your council of 12 or more. You can call in your spirit guides. And now we know the Arcturian energy basically serves as our spirit guides, bringing us from the kiss of birth to the kiss of death. And so it's all about this journey, the hero's journey that you're on, that I'm on, and that as a collective we are on in 2025. Take care and hope to see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye, everybody.